Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the NBA Front Office Show. Thursday, December 7th episode. We've got plenty of NBA basketball to dive into. The trade rumor season, it's starting to pick up a little bit of steam. We've got some stuff to break down regarding Zack LaVine, the Knicks, their interest in a superstar. We'll talk a bit about that. We've got lots to get into. Is the NBA draft going to 2 nights? Plenty of stuff to talk about. I'm Trevor Lane. You can find me over on X at Trevor_Lane, joined by Keith Smith at Keith Smith NBA. Keith, yesterday, no show because I had no internet. It was a stark reminder of how reliant upon technology we are. I didn't know what to do with myself. My internet was out all day, and to be honest, I felt a bit lost.
Yeah, I don't know what I would do either at this point in life without internet. Like at least, I know we were texting some, so at least hopefully you could pull stuff up on your phone
A
if need
little
be.
bit, but it was
Yeah,
super slow because my
uh,
signal at my place is not great.
yeah,
So I was about as disconnected as I've been in probably years now.
yeah. That's tough. It was my reminder of that was being on the cruise, and
Hmm.
then of course I'm on the cruise, and the Jalen Brown news extension news broke, and I was like, wait, what happened? And I'm watching the bottom line like cycle through, and I'm like, wow, this took me right back to high school when I was like, all right, I gotta let this run through again, and what's happening here. So yeah, it's that is kind of how it goes without the internet. But yeah, man, that's different. I'm glad it's back working, and we're
Me too.
back in the regular flow here.
That's right. That's right. Back for a new show, and we do have plenty to get into today. Um, let's start here. I mean, obviously, we've got tournament games on tonight. Those will be a lot of fun. They're in Las Vegas. That's going to be a
Let's
blast.
go to something.
Yeah.
The Pacers Bucks game, apparently
Uh-huh.
the get-in price is only $20. So if you're
Really?
listening to this early enough and you can get there in the next 3 hours and 30 minutes or so, you might as well go. Right? It's a chance to see two really fun NBA teams for
Yeah.
very little money. The Lakers Pelicans get-in price is apparently only $71. So
Okay.
ticket sales maybe not so brisk. Now, I think Lakers Pelicans are that could be like one ticket is available because at
Right.
least
Yeah. Yeah.
that's at a semi-normal time of 9 p.m. Eastern, which is
Yeah.
what 6 p.m. in Las Vegas.
Mm.
I do I it's only got to be because they don't want to go up against the NFL game more than they already have to. But like the idea of Bucks Pacers at 5, which is 2 p.m. local time, like I just
Hmm.
don't get it. Like
Yeah.
that's very weird to me. That's something they need to work on for next year.
It's very strange. Like, if you want this to be a big thing, then put it on a time when most people can
Yeah.
watch it.
Yep.
And most people are at work during that time, or they're on
Exactly.
their drive home. Even if you're on the East
Even on the
Coast, you're on
East
your drive
Coast. Yeah.
home. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. And
So
if
makes
you're
no sense.
worried about losing to Pats Steelers, I say this as a Pats fan. Like, I don't know. I mean, like I get it. It's the NFL, so people are going to watch it no matter what. But yeah, just weird timing. Like, put these games put them on a Wednesday next year, then, and let it be like, and then own that night and figure it out. So this just seems odd and messy.
Keith, the Patriots and the Steelers, it's so bad that will probably funnel viewers to the NBA game. People
Yeah,
will turn
right.
on that football game and they'll watch a few minutes and they'll go, "Oh no, I've made a
Yeah, I
mistake,"
wish,
and
but
they'll go watch
sadly.
something else. But
I'm gonna say you have not seen the Patriots this year, then, because people will be fired up to watch them get killed. Are you kidding me? Like people are gonna be like, "Let's go, let's watch them get stomped." I mean, we're in reality, what like the Pats and the Panthers are like the two worst teams. They could play a game and like we would get more watch than most NBA games, including playoff games. That's just how it is. I mean, I
it's
get it.
how
The
it is.
NFL is
Sure.
king, but like then don't go against the NFL. These games should have been on a different day of the week. Like
Well,
it was just poor planning.
I'm saying the Steelers haven't exactly been a super fun
Oh,
watch
sure.
this
No, I
season
get it.
either, and the
Yeah.
Patriots have been, I mean, torturous to watch
Yeah.
that team.
On offense, at least.
Yes, on offense, it's been awful. So I have a feeling people may tune into that game initially and then go, "I made a mistake,"
Yeah,
and
we'll
go look
see.
up.
I have
We'll
my
see.
doubts.
We'll
I,
see.
people love their football, man. It's hard to pull eyes away from that league, no matter what.
Did you see the Chargers game this last week? That was
Yeah, that was against the
six. There
Pats.
was against the Patriots, 6-0.
Yeah.
was the score. That was I think it was one of the first times and we'll get to NBA stuff in just a moment. It was one of the first times in recent memory that a team covered the spread by scoring 0 points.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
covered the Patriots covered and scored 0 points. Like that should not be possible.
Like yeah, those are like the level of games where it is normally like it's like, oh, there's 4 feet of snow on the field and it's still coming down and no one can see, and you basically kick a field goal and get out of there. Like that's what that game felt like. But yeah, the Patriots stink. Their defense is way too good to be wasted by this terrible offense. But I'm not going to rant about that. Let's talk basketball. Let's get into the happy place.
Let's talk NBA trades, and I guess let's go here. Let's go to the Knicks. The Knicks reportedly are looking for stars. Shams Charania talked about that. So they've got plenty of tradable assets. I believe it's 8 first-round picks that they have available to potentially trade. They've got some young players the teams may be interested in. Emmanuel Quickley, Quentin Grimes. You got Josh Hart, guys that we'll talk about in just a moment as well. But the Knicks out there looking for stars. Keith, I am more optimistic about this for the Knicks than the Knicks from 15-ish years ago have this reputation of being that team that trade for the over-the-hill star, the big name that's going to come in, the Stephon Marbury, the Steve Francis, the Zach Randolphs of the world. They're going to come in and just not really move the needle for them. I don't think that's what this Knicks team is going to be. I think they're going to be a bit more selective. If they do go for a star, they're going to try to make sure that they get the right guy that can really propel this team forward. Otherwise, they're going to hang on to some of their assets. Now, who that player is going to be, I don't know. I don't see the Knicks as the team to go get Zack LaVine. That doesn't seem to make a lot of sense to me. But the trade market, as it becomes a bit clearer, as we get closer to February 8th, it's possible that a player or two pop onto the market and suddenly the Knicks are in prime position to go after them.
Yeah, and I think this is going to be a good lesson in who do the Knicks consider to be a star big enough to finally part with a bunch of their players and in assets, because they reportedly Quentin Grimes was off the table in the discussions for Donovan Mitchell now a year and a half ago.
Mm-hmm.
But like that was something that was reported by multiple different outlets and reporters. So I'm gonna guess there's some level of truth to that. So that becomes all right, if you weren't willing to go all in for Donovan Mitchell, and maybe that was fine, but like who then, right? To your point, it's not gonna be Zack LaVine then, right? That's not gonna move the needle enough. So then who becomes available? And I think I don't want people to come away with this with the idea of this means within the next 2 months before the trade deadline.
Yeah.
Like this may be leading into next summer too. Like the Knicks are, definitely probably going to be in play. And I looked it up. They have 10 tradable first round picks. Actually,
Ooh, 10.
They
wow.
have they've got, or it might actually be 11. It's actually 11. Sorry. They've got all of their own picks. So the next 7 years of their own picks, which you can't trade all of them, but you could do swaps and everything else in between. Then they own a Dallas pick that is top 10 protected. This is the problem with all these ones I'm about to rattle off. They all have protections on them.
Yeah.
But still, they've got them.
Not all picks are created equal.
Exactly. Dallas pick, top 10 protected. Detroit pick, this year, top 18 protected. So they won't be getting that one. I feel very confident in that statement as the Pistons lost yet again last night. Then they have a Wizards pick that is top 12 protected. I'm going to say they're not getting that one either. Then those protections slide a little bit next year. Dallas one remains if they don't get it this year, which they probably will. Then the Detroit one becomes top 13. The Washington one becomes top 12. Then they also add the Bucks pick that is top 4 protected. That it stays with the Bucks, or not the Bucks, but I think the Pelicans. Ultimately, if that's in the top 4. With that one, or it might be the Pistons. It's somebody. It's a weird pick. With that one, but then they go to the next year, their own pick. Pistons protection slide down to top 11 protected. Washington slide to top 8. Then one more year with the Pistons pick, which is top 9 protected. So that's kind of the reason why I wanted to go through those. This is also what we say when we say not all first round picks are created equal. because that sounds good, but a couple of those picks, they're not so great, right?
Yeah.
Like that Bucks pick probably going to be late in the 20s. The Mavs pick, even that's probably going to be in the mid to late 20s. The Pistons one, who knows when you get it? Like, and by the time you do, if you do get it, it's not going to be very good. Same with the Wizards pick. So that's just something to kind of keep in mind when we talk about this. But where the Knicks can plus up offers, especially if they were to do it sooner rather than later, Emmanuel Quickly, Quentin
Hmm.
Grimes, they've got Evan Fournier's expiring contract, which is a big number, but it just helps add to the salary matching. If they really, depending on what position they were going after, they could maybe even move a guy like RJ Barrett if you were going for a
Hmm.
major upgrade on the wing. So they've got the ability to match salary very easily. And they do have these picks that you could at least throw in there because sometimes what a team is looking for is, hey, we can win the press conference by saying, yeah, we traded superstar X, but we got 6 first round picks for him. And
Right.
that could be something that could happen here as well.
Which again, if you don't, people tend to react to this stuff, right? Without digging deeper into exactly what are these picks. You hear 6 first or whatever, and it sounds great. But again, like an unprotected Pistons first, if that was somehow on the table, that carries way more value
Yeah,
than
that'd be
the Pist
awesome.
right, than the Pistons first that is actually available to the Knicks. So this is again, the Knicks have a lot of assets in terms of picks they can trade, and they can stack a bunch of them up. But if a team is really looking for a great asset, like this is going to be a top 5 pick that we're going to be getting, it's not there.
Yeah.
That's not there for the Knicks to trade. But nonetheless, I still think they can be a player on the market here. The question is, what are they going to trade? And then again, there's rumblings right now that there's a number of players that aren't super thrilled with their role currently with the Knicks. So does that incentivize them even further to go ahead and make some moves and try to get something done? Or do you just say, you know what? Tough luck. If you don't like your role right now, we're getting through this and we're only making the right deal that comes to us. That'll be an interesting dynamic to see how the Knicks handle that too.
Yeah, without a doubt. And to be clear on the players who seemingly aren't real thrilled with their roles, this is not a sources tell us thing. These are the players said it
Yeah,
directly.
right.
Josh Hart said, I need to like be more involved. I don't think he clearly said I need more shots, but it was like I need to be more involved. I go out there, I play defense. And then he did own like, hey, like that's on me to figure it out. Like it's not on everybody else, but clearly, if he's even bringing it up, he's bothered by it. Then Quentin Grimes, just after their last game, basically said, yeah, I need to get more shots. I feel like
Hmm.
I'm going to go out there, only get a couple shots. And if I miss them, I'm coming out of the game. And he talked about, like, I'm a rhythm guy. His shot attempts have gone way down this year. So he's not seeing as many shots. And part of that is they added Dante DiVincenzo. So that's another guy who he's now splitting some time with in that Knicks backcourt. And DiVincenzo is playing very well right now and is making a lot of shots. So I get it because that's a team that sometimes the offense can need a little bit of a boost. So DiVincenzo gives them that, but
Hmm.
it is definitely a challenge for the Knicks in this spot with they just have a lot of guys. And at some point, something has to give, right? It's either going to be playing time or it's going to be shots or it's going to be something else. And that can be the challenge. Sometimes I know this sounds weird to put it this way, but sometimes you can be too deep
Hmm.
if you don't have the right kind of guys. If you don't have the right kind of guys who like we always say, like some we have an affinity sometimes for those players. So it's like, yeah, they never need the ball. Like they can just be out there. Like
Right.
probably not right now where he's at in his career, but like PJ Tucker for years. It was like, yeah, you can just plug him in and tell him to play defense and hit the occasional corner three. And that's fine. He doesn't ever need the ball. He doesn't need to do anything else. So like he's very plug and play, super easy to put in there. Some of these other guys, if they're starting to feel like, man, I need more touches or I need more minutes, that's where sometimes it can be a problem when you have so many good players because it's just hard to balance all of that.
So does that push you further into a consolidation trade then for the
Yeah,
Knicks? Or do you say no, even if these guys are grumbling a little bit, we're gonna stick to our guns here and we're only gonna make the move that we think propels us forward?
Yeah, it probably depends on who it's for, right? Because if, like we were just talking about, if it was for Zach LaVine, which by all accounts they're not interested in, or
Yeah.
DeMar DeRozan, then probably not. If it was for another guy, and I don't know who that'll be,
Yeah.
that becomes available in the trade market, then yeah, then I'm definitely going to start looking at, all right, let's do this, because they have enough good quality depth. They should be able to still be okay afterwards, right? Like that's one of the things you think about. Like it's completely different sport, but the New York Yankees just traded for Juan Soto.
Uh-huh.
They traded a whole bunch of their pitching depth. And one of the big worries is they don't have very good starting pitching depth right now. So, and part of that's because they gave up some in another trade and they lost guys in the Rule 5 draft. And now people are like, what the hell is this show? You've talked about the NFL and MLB. You didn't
we're
ask.
jumping around. We're
But
sports
why,
guys.
right. Yeah, that's it. We're branching out. But why I bring it up is, yeah, you can make the big trade. And in fairness, that's a great trade for the Yankees. And as a Yankee fan, I'm over the moon about it. But it is, you have to be certain either we can create the depth or we already have it that we can sustain sending out enough guys. Like Phoenix traded all their depth away in the last two deals to get Durant and Beal, but they were able to feel like we could get enough guys on minimum contracts to fill it out. If the Knicks can pull off the right star and it costs them some of their depth, they probably got enough to sustain it anyway, and they should feel pretty good about the ability to get guys to sign there. But
Mhm.
again, that's a down the line thing. That's probably not a right now ahead of the trade deadline thing. So it's just something we'll keep an eye on and see. But I hope this isn't the Knicks are chasing stars and then they settle for the tier 3 guy because that's the best they can do, and they kind of go in all in around that because we've seen how that goes and it's not well.
No, no, that does not turn out well, and I'm sure Knicks fans are a bit apprehensive about that. Knicks fans also, Julius Randle had a great game the other night against the Bucks. The Knicks do bow out of the in-season tournament, but Randle went nuts, had 40 some odd points.
Yeah.
There were Knicks fans. I forget what outlet had this, but the comment from Knicks fans was great. This helps his trade value because he's had a rough season. It'll be interesting to see
Yeah.
what they do with him. Not shot the ball well at all, either from the field or from deep.
Like any big market team, the value and love of players is widely divisive. Like
That's true.
people, I know Knicks fans who think Julius Randle is incredible and there's other ones who hate him, and then you have the ones who are like, which is my favorite fan in the world, is he stinks, but you should give us a really good player for
Yes.
him. Like, that's my favorite ones, and it's like, and then you have the ones who are like, he stinks, and I can say that, but you can't say that. Like that's not okay. It's almost like talking bad about a member of the family, right? I can say whatever I want, but if you say it, we're going to have a problem.
There are so many sell low fans out there. A guy's
Yeah.
playing poorly, and it's trade him, trade him. Well,
Yeah.
who's going to trade for him right now? Like who wants this player if he's playing this way? Or the only teams that do want that player obviously believe that he's better than what he's shown and is going to improve. And if they're right about that, then why do you want to trade him? So it's funny the way all that works out. But I also get it too. It's the emotional response. You're watching a guy that's not playing well on your team and you want them to play better. And so you go, okay, well, let's get somebody else in there to do those things, and that will improve things.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's talk about Zack LaVine. Out 3 to 4 weeks. Shams Charania made the point that in theory puts him out to right around when everybody in the NBA will be trade eligible. Almost everybody, I should say, including the guys who aren't trade eligible till January 15th. He's dealing with a foot issue. Do you think this is his actual timeline, or is some part of this the Bulls saying, well, let's keep him out for like 3, maybe 4-ish weeks, and we'll see where things are at on the trade front? Or is this really like medically he needs to be out this long?
Well, what's funny is, right, they're starting to play better.
Yeah,
Just,
right.
Completely, randomly. And maybe that's, what was Bill Simmons' thing, the Ewing theory? When Patrick Ewing went down, the Knicks started to play better.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe there's some of that going on in there. They've won 3 in a row. They're up to 8-14. They're I saw a ton of Bulls fans are like, oh no, this is going to convince them to chase the play-in tournament. Like, and they're
Gosh.
completely losing their minds about it. But
I mean, and they've got wins over the Bucks, the Pelicans, and the Hornets. I mean, the Hornets is one thing, but the Bucks and the Pels, those are legit teams that you've got wins over there.
yeah, no, for sure. Yeah, I mean, and they haven't looked bad, in those games either. Like they've played well. Kobe White is playing really, really well. I think what with LaVine, my guess is this is probably more of a let's be cautious for real with the injury. Like
Hmm.
we do not need this turning into something, but
Yeah,
that's probably with a hint of if this turns into something bigger,
we
then
can't
we
trade him.
won't be able to trade him. So I
Yeah.
don't know that it's a hey, let's just completely sit him out to keep him healthy only for trade reasons. It's probably for real, like worries of and a lot of times when you get that kind of foot inflammation, we haven't fully heard beyond that it's foot inflammation. My guess is
Yeah.
that could be some form of like plantar fasciitis or
Hmm.
something like that. And if it's something like that, we know the only real cure for that is
Rest.
rest and stay off it. So that's probably my guess is a little bit of what's going on here is let's make sure we get this taken care of. Then we'll have roughly a month's worth of games to show what he can do before finding a trade at the trade deadline.
Yeah. Yep. So Zach LaVine's going to be out for probably the better part of the next month here. And then when he does come back, I'd imagine if he comes back, it's just going to be a real quick kind of on display type thing. And the rumors are going to ramp up once again for him to potentially
Or the
get
Bulls
traded.
will be like, in the sixth seed, and they'll be like, "Let's go! Here's our acquisition is Zach LaVine," and Bulls fans will be like, "Please, God, no!"
And they'll surrender future assets for win now pieces. And yeah.
Oh God, oh man, let's not speak that into
Could you
existence.
like
Bulls
imagine?
fans
Couldn't
don't
you just see the Bulls? Like here, let's jump to this. Couldn't you just see the Bulls get up to the 6th seed or something, and then they go all in for Bojan Bogdanovic?
Nice, good
like,
segue, my friend. Well done.
like that would. I'm sorry to even put that on you, Bulls fans. I like Bojan Bogdanovic a lot. But anyway, the news we got: Bojan Bogdanovic staying put. The rumors that the Pistons aren't that interested in trading him.
For now,
For now, it does not. To me, like when news like this comes out. Yeah, of course. We talk all about it that this is, the beginning of trade season. Everybody's asking prices super high. It does the Pistons no good to say, "Oh yeah, we're definitely interested in trading Bojan Bogdanovic." That's not going to help them at all with their leverage or anything like that. So you want to put out there, "No, we love this guy. We have no interest in trading him." But maybe we'll listen. You better come with a good offer though. But I guess we'll listen.
yeah.
That's probably the way this is going to go before the trade deadline.
Well, and this is, I mean, and we very much know because it was widely reported last year, they did put the real 2 first-round pick
Uh-huh.
price on him. And whether that was 2 real firsts or whatever it was, but that was part of the reason he didn't get moved last year. The other part was they fully intended with Cade Cunningham back to be better. They really thought like we can push this thing forward and try to be a better team and really try to make a real run at this. And clearly that has not happened. They are, what are they? They're 2-19. They've won 18 or one. They would like to have won. They've lost 18 straight games
Oof.
in a row. They're 2-19. Not to be outdone, the San Antonio Spurs are right behind them at 3-17 with 15
Oof.
consecutive losses. So Spurs remains true. The last game they won, I was in attendance in Phoenix, and that was a month ago.
Oh.
That the last time the Spurs won a game. So
Yeah,
they've not gone
was it October then?
no, it was still no, it was November.
It was
the
November. Okay,
beginning
because I
part
was
of
say that.
November.
So the Pistons haven't beat there. The Pistons have not won since October.
Correct. Yeah. Yeah. The Pistons went the entire month in November without winning. The Spurs almost did. They I think they won one game in November, if I have my dates correct on that. So yeah, it's fine. Like I guess like he's finally back. He's healthy. Let's see what it looks like, and then we'll kind of go from there. But yeah, it's malpractice now if you don't trade him. Like there's no reason to hang on to him. It doesn't make any sense. And for any team that wants him, provided he shows that he's healthy
Can
and
still
still
shoot.
productive. Yeah, and I think he can. I think he'll be fine. $20 million contract this year, very acquirable. Then he's got one of those I like to call them pseudo expiring deals. It's 19 million, but it's only guaranteed for 2 million next year. So that's one you could very easily get out of if you acquired him and things like went sideways on you and you're like, yeah, it's not working. You get out of it very easily. So you got to trade him at some point this year.
Keith, I'm looking at the Pistons schedule here, and we've gone over this before, but it blows me away. So here's what they've got. This is the rest of the month. At Orlando, which remember Orlando's good now. Oh my God, tickets as low as $7 for that game. Anyway, versus Indiana, versus Philadelphia, at Philadelphia, at Milwaukee, at Atlanta versus Utah, at Brooklyn versus Brooklyn, at Boston, finish the month versus Toronto.
Yeah, we said that Memphis game was like a must win for them, and they lost.
Right, and they lost by 14.
Yeah.
Where's the win? Like, is this what do you think is more likely, that the Pistons go 2 months without a win, or that they beat one of those teams?
I'm gonna say that they beat one of those teams. Just I can't even imagine 2 months without a win. Like that's ludicrous stuff. So I'm gonna say they win one of those games, but it might be the 21st against Utah, and that's 2 weeks from today.
Mm-hmm.
So like you're basically then saying, all right, well, you won a month and a half, or I guess a month and 3/4 without a win, because you'd at that point be all the way into the latter part of December. So yeah, because it's hard, right? I mean, yes, they could beat Orlando, they could beat Indiana, Philly twice, Milwaukee, Atlanta,
And they go at Philly, at Milwaukee, back to back on the road.
Yeah. The only way you get one of those is if it's one of those ones where the team's like, yeah, all right, nobody's playing. Like we're gonna say, like that Philly, you play them 2 games in a row. Maybe Philly in one of those games is like, yeah, we're just gonna sit everybody.
Yeah,
like no Embiid, no Maxey, and then maybe you can trip them up. Maybe Indiana, if you could win a shootout with them and they're not hitting every shot. Like, it is. God, that's ugly. That's just. Yeah, it's bad. I mean, yeah, it's probably that Utah game is the next. That's probably the closest will be for them to be favored in a game, I would guess, right?
Right. Yeah, I think so. I think that's got to be, and I don't think they will be favored, but
they might not be.
That's going to be the closest line.
Good, so,
no, they haven't been, but
yeah.
Is it? Well, wait, is that game? Yeah, it's in Utah. Well, no, wait, that one's at home. The next time they play Utah is in Utah, so that's a home game. That'll be. I bet that will be their closest line.
Yeah, without a doubt. Yeah.
All right,
that's ugly stuff.
Let's move on to some more positive news. Bradley Beal is ramping up, getting ready. Sounds like he is within about a week or so of maybe making a comeback for the Phoenix Suns. Certainly they could use him. We haven't seen the big three really out there together. So Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, Bradley Beal need to be out there on the floor together to really start to develop some chemistry. And hopefully Beal will be able to recover. These back issues, though, can be tricky. They can linger. They can pop back up. So fingers crossed. Hopefully Bradley Beal can get healthy and then stay healthy and stay out on the floor, because they sure do need him out there.
Yeah, and the report was 10 days. That was a couple days ago.
Yeah.
So hopefully, we'll see. I think they've got a game coming up against the Knicks at some point, and it looked like that might have been the one where he returns. So we'll see. Again, to your point, now we're 20 games in now. So we're down to 60, 50-ish games. 60 games is the most we could see all of them together. So I'm going to say it's going to be 40-ish at best, probably more in the range of 30, because, and I'm not trying to be negative Nelly here, but Kevin Durant generally has something pop up at some point. That hasn't happened yet. And Booker's already been out once. We'll see if he goes out. I mean, I know he's kind of in and out of the lineup, but we'll see if he, stays in the lineup the whole way. So now I think with Booker settling in so much to the point guard spot, and really, I was making this point earlier today, he is playing like a Harden style point guard, where it is, I'm going to just come off and make the right play. Sometimes the right play is I'll score. Sometimes the right play is I set somebody up. But he is also doing a good job of making sure Yusuf Nurkic gets touches, and Eric Gordon gets touches, and Grayson Allen gets his touches beyond, because Kevin Durant's clearly a scoring machine, and that's what his role is. And he's always going to get his shots. But Booker's making sure everybody's getting a chance. So what they really need Beal to do is just be a souped up version of Eric Gordon and Grayson Allen. And what they're giving you, just be a better version of that, which he, if healthy, should be able to be. Then you're good, right? Then we're pretty good if we're Phoenix, and we should be fine there, because there was all that talk at the beginning of the year. Is like Beal gonna run the offense some, because he had done that a little bit. I think now it's very clear. No, that's Booker's job. You're gonna be the third guy, but just be a really, really good third guy. And if he is, Phoenix becomes that much harder to beat.
Yeah, Absolutely. That's going to be important for them. Let's jump into this. De'Aaron Fox turned down an extension with the Kings. Now, that doesn't mean he wants to leave the Kings. He just
Yep.
thinks that he can get more money if he waits. The Kings could only offer him a 2-year extension. And he is going to try for that Supermax. He's going to see if he can make all NBA. He's been absolutely fantastic for them. He can get to his mid-range shot pretty much whenever he wants, and he hits it at a high enough rate, extremely fast. And this is something that I think ultimately will get done next summer, because it wouldn't shock me to see De'Aaron Fox make all NBA, particularly if the Sacramento Kings continue to have success. The only challenge is how crowded the guard position is.
Mm-hmm.
But if the Kings can continue to find success this year, he will definitely be in that mix. And this could wind up being, and I don't even know this is much of a gamble for him because it was just a 2-year extension, but this could very well pay off big time for De'Aaron Fox waiting to do a deal.
Now, remember though, all NBA is now positionless. So that could help
I
him,
forgot about
right?
that.
Yeah. And
I
that's
forgot.
something, the only reason I knew is because I forgot all about it yesterday in a conversation where I was like,
Yeah.
oh, that's right. Because I talk a lot about like Tyrese Maxey, right?
Uh-huh.
Could he make all NBA? And then I was like, well, there's only 6 guard spots. That's who I was actually talking about. And I was like, wait, that's actually not true anymore. So
Right.
yeah, we'll see. I mean, we're probably gonna I still think most voters are probably gonna lean towards making teams more than they do other stuff. I think this will be more of a hey, Embiid and Jokic should have probably both been first team.
Right. Yeah.
Like, let's get them both on the first team. But I don't think it's going to be like, well, we picked 15 guards and see you later. Clearly,
Yeah.
it won't be because there'll be other guys in the mix. But I think that was more what it was about. So I still think you may still see like 6 guards, 6 forwards, and 3 centers. It just may be what teams they actually land on. But to that point, part of the prereq almost generally for all NBA is were you an all-star first this year? And that is still by position for the most part. So Fox needs to push his way into that conversation and go. But this is the right bet for him to make because the 2-year, $105 million he turned down in the version of that will then turn into a 3-year and a 4-year. Barring something wildly unexpected or a major career changing, altering injury, that's going to be on the table no matter what. So why not hold and bet on yourself to, earn the accolades it takes to then, make the all NBA requirement? Because let's be real, he's not going to win MVP or Defensive Player of the Year. So then it's really all NBA. So why not push for it? Like I'm all for bet on yourself if you're a guy who can conceivably get to those levels. If you're not that guy, no, then take the money when it's offered because you're not going to be there. But he could be in that mix.
Yeah. I think he definitely can be. And like you said, I think the floor. This deal is the floor. The deal that was on the table is 100%. The floor. So why not shoot for more? Especially if next summer you can add extra years onto that deal. So your worst case is you wind up taking this deal, unless there, like you said, there's like a Sean Livingston type of injury or something like that changes who you are as a player. But again, that's you're making a pretty good bet here. I always look at when I'm looking at these deals, and I think, hey, if I was an agent, what would I be advising my client to do? And I think back to, Dennis Schroeder turning down that big money offer from the Lakers or the rumored, offer in order to try to get a little bit more money. I was looking at the market and thought, man, the downside of this is tremendous if the money dries up on the market.
I mean, we talked about it.
Yeah, we talked all about that, how at some point the money was going to dry and there was going to be at least 1 or 2 guards that was left on the outside looking in, and they were going to have to take below market value deals. It's exactly what happened. And he lost a ton of money, whereas the upside was he would have made an extra like 15 million, maybe. So it wasn't a worthwhile gamble. The opposite is true with this. Your downside is very, very low, and your upside is very high. So to me, this is a smart gamble for De'Aaron Fox.
Yeah, I completely agree. And worst comes to worst, we get a couple years down the line and he, basically doesn't get there. And then, like you said, he gets this offer or what would be the equivalent to this. Cause by that point they'd be able to add a 3rd and 4th year, very likely to it. So just, hold and see if you make it. Cause there's not, we're not talking a little bit of money. We're talking by that point, it's going to be like $60-ish million extra money that he could make total over the life of the deal, like that's
Mhm.
a lot. So yeah, I would hold out for that too.
All right, let's jump over to this. There's still rumors that the draft will eventually become a 2-night deal. I'm still I'm kind of on the fence about this. Like I get draft night, it's a long night. We do a show during the draft. I'm exhausted by the end of it. In fact, you can usually see like part of the way through the second round. I'm like, oh my god, it's
Especially the
we get
last two years, right? We've hung out till the Lakers picked more
in the
because
middle of the
just
second
for the
round.
fun of it. Yeah, that's midway through the second round. Yeah, and we're dragging.
Yeah,
We're hurt. But
it
to be fair to us, we'd also been live for hours
before the
beginning
draft
that
too.
too. Yeah, and we don't get commercial breaks. We go
No,
all the way through. Just talking. And if anybody's really planning for what's that 7-ish months from now, 8-ish months from now, yeah, we'll probably be live again during
yep.
the draft because we have a lot of fun with it. And we like to do
Yeah, absolutely. It's definitely a blast. Energy drinks, definitely needed, but we make it
it.
through. But I don't know. Like, I guess my concern, if I was the NBA, my concern would be, especially if you split it up, day one is the first round, day two is the second round, then nobody's going to watch day two,
Yeah,
right? Like, because I would have to look and see what are the viewership numbers? How much does it drop off by when we go into the second round anyway? How much does it drop off after the first few picks? So it'd be interesting to see where the NBA would cut things off for day one, day two. Again, I would assume it would be round one and round two. But is it worth it? Like, is it worth putting just the second round on TV? Will enough like of the casual fans tune in to that?
yeah. I
Can
mean,
you
we're
get enough?
watching, but yeah,
Right, sure. But can you get, and I think the key would be, is there some way to promote, some way to ensure that you're going to have trade activity going on? That would be a way to spice things up. And I don't know exactly how you would do it. But otherwise, I think the second round would be a bit more of a tough sell.
I agree. I wonder the things I would be looking at is there a cutoff point around the lottery where people
Hmm.
start to drop out in interest wise? Could that be your cutoff? Then you come
Yeah,
back with the back half of the first round and the second round on day two.
that would
My
make sense.
guess is first round of this, meaning first time they try it, would be first round one night, second round the
Yeah.
second night, and off we go. There are some out there who believe, some who are pushing for, now that we've got the third two-way spot, we've got the additional roster spot to add a third round. And
Mhm.
one of the things that could happen then is, do you do it like the NFL does?
Yeah.
Round one happens one night and then rounds two and three. Your challenge is until more than 4 or 5 guys out of every second round end up making a major impact on teams, just people are going to be like, what am I watching for?
Right.
Where I think you can rebalance that a little. And this is hard, right? Because Adam Silver, let's be honest, right up front too. This is all about money. This is about we can own another night of TV,
Hmm.
right? Because at a time of year where the only other thing going on is baseball. So why not, right? Like let's just grab another night where eyeballs are on us when we're there. So now what I wonder is, do you do the first round? He talked about, do you like lengthen the time a little bit between picks and give more time to talk about all that stuff? Then after the first round, teams get a chance to really reset. But I wonder, day two coverage, you have to be clear to be good to all of the fans, right? Where it is like you're trying to, or to the players, because he talked about, like, he referenced like how Jokic was drafted during a
Sure.
Taco Bell commercial. So it becomes a whole thing of you know, like what happens there. But do you use that to be like, all right, let's talk a little bit more in depth about what happened in day one. Let's also use it as a little bit of a free agency preview because free agency starts roughly a week later in
Hmm.
the NBA. But then that goes against, like, we're trying to give shine to the guys in the second round. So yeah, I'm fine if they want to try it. I mean, I'm watching anyway, so it doesn't really matter. But let's see, how it looks, what it works out to.
Yeah.
And I trust with this too. If it sucks and no one's watching, they just won't do it. They'll
Yeah.
they'll do it one year and then they won't do it again the next year, and it'll go back to the way it was.
All right. Last thing that we've got, and I agree. I think they will indeed. They'll test the waters. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work, and then they'll
Oh, let
shift it.
me say one other
Yeah. Go ahead.
thing just because it came out of this came out of this more recent talk about a 2-night draft, came out of Adam Silver did a really long interview with SiriusXM NBA radio. We're not going to spend a lot of time on it because we talked it only like a week ago, but he again was asked about expansion. He was asked specifically about, hey, Las Vegas, like hosting in-season tournament, they've now got a baseball team coming. And he basically said, like, yeah, like Vegas is a city we love. And we would like to remind everybody, like, hey, even though we're not there full time, like we've been here longer than any of these other sports. Like we've been doing stuff here.
Yep.
We had an all-star game here. We've got our summer league here and all that stuff. But he talked about that. And then he did say, but yeah, Las Vegas is a place. And then the other city he referenced directly was Seattle. So it's pretty clear to me at this point, Seattle and Las Vegas. He was funny because he's like, there have been no commitments, there have been no secret meetings. I also don't believe that, but they're not building arenas and rehabbing arenas without some reason to do these things.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. Billionaires do a lot of weird stuff with their money that I don't understand, but I believe Seattle and Las Vegas are coming. And he did say this time around, he was a lot more clear of like, yeah, we're going to finish the TV deal and then we're going to start talking about this. It wasn't a maybe we'll start it, then maybe it was very much like when we finish the TV deal, we'll get into this. So just if you have a chance, you can go listen to it. If you've got SiriusXM, there's a bunch of places that recapped it. Even if you look on their Twitter, they pulled clips and all sorts of stuff. So
yeah, it's coming. It's coming.
Yeah,
we're going to see teams in Vegas and Seattle. It won't be right away.
Then the question becomes, where else?
Mm-hmm.
Like, is it do they go to more cities? Is this a wave where we get two teams and then within the next 4 or 5 years we get two more? Like, what is that going to look like? Do those teams, are they international, like Vancouver, Mexico City? Like, I think they're only going to keep growing. And he also did say, I will say this. He said, part of my job as the commissioner, what I've been tasked with is how do we grow the game beyond the places where we are right now? And he said, and that's all part of it is having more teams and more accessibility to more fans and more places. So it's the NBA is only going to grow from here on out.
All right, let's finish up with this. The Warriors continue to shuffle their rotation. They are not doing Warriors things right now. When you look at where they're sitting in the standings currently in the Western Conference, the Warriors are the 11th seed. They are a game below 500. They're 10-11 on the season. I know I still look at it though and think it's the Warriors. They'll figure it out and they'll be one of those teams by April. We're going to be looking at the Warriors and saying, oh yeah, they're a tough matchup in the playoffs and all of that. But is the window, like how closed is the window right now for the Warriors?
Man, I'm with you because I say the same thing. In one of these years, we're going to be wrong.
Yeah.
Right. We're just going to assume they're going to figure it out and then they won't. And it'll probably what kicks off the next iteration of the Warriors. But yeah, until we actually see it, I'm going to continue to believe that they will figure this stuff out and they will push forward and push through. So the window question's hard because I mean they did win the title 2 years ago.
You're right.
So it's like, I mean, like it seems insane.
It's the world we live in now, though, where it's what have you done for me lately? And that, 2 years ago, it's a lifetime, especially in the post-pandemic. Yeah.
Like that's the other thing, right? It's not like they lost Steph Curry and he went off to play for another team or retired.
No.
Like they have all these guys, but
they're not the same guys anymore.
So that's it. Yeah. It's the same guys. They just don't quite move and play the same levels, right? So that's the challenge, right? They look the same. They just don't look the same, if that makes sense. So yeah, it's close, man. I gotta feel like maybe 1-2 more runs in this group, like at it, meaning this playoffs and next, and then we're probably moving on, which is probably a big part of their hesitation to say, sure, Clay, here's the big max extension deal that you want. I think that's why they're letting it play out. I don't think he's going to go anywhere. I think if he wants to still play, he'll be back, but it's going to be more on like, hey, Draymond didn't get 150 million, he got 100 million. Like we can't give you 40 million a year. You're going to have to take 25 million a year and be kind of aligned with Draymond and Steph and go forward from there. I heard an interesting question. I wanted to ask you.
Yeah.
So they come to you, Trevor, you're running the Warriors today. you have to throw away all your Lakers stuff and you're going to run the Warriors.
Okay.
And your first option is you can trade Stephen Curry for the monster haul. You get 4 first-round picks, swaps in the years between, extra young players, all this stuff. Would you do it?
I trade him to the Lakers for minimal return. No, but so I would say at this stage, I would say no. I want to give them one more shot to see what happens. You want to talk over the summer, and frankly, this goes beyond, because typically, right, from the fan perspective, and I think we look at things and fans start to think, well, we better get something for this guy while we can, because fans are going to stay with this team forever, right? They're gonna keep going with this team. They're going to keep supporting the team. And so you think about, what does the post Curry time look like? What about post Clay and Draymond? What does the next era look like? And do we have assets to really get into that era so we don't go back to the dark ages of Warriors basketball? And I think that's important. But I think what these guys have done goes beyond the standard roster building timeline. I think what these guys have done, what they've meant to the franchise, what they've meant to the fan base, says that this isn't a decision that you make as a front office. This is a decision that you make as a group. The players are involved in this discussion. Look, you guys have cemented your spots. Your jerseys are going in the rafters. We're talking statues out front. What do you guys want to do? Because here's the reality. What's that? Go ahead.
Oh no, go ahead. Yeah, I was just gonna say, I was gonna add on, but go ahead. Finish your thought. Sorry.
So I was just gonna say, the reality is this is where we're at as a team. This is how much we're spending. We don't know how much longer we can go, but we want to give you guys the send off that you deserve. And if you decide that we don't have the firepower to contend anymore and you want to go somewhere else, we will work with you to send you somewhere else. We can only pay you X amount. If you think you want more, we will do right by you and get you to where you want to go, even if that means we have to sacrifice a little bit in terms of assets, because of what this team has meant in terms of the assets you get in return. So I think it's a different tier because of what they've accomplished there, because of what they mean to this franchise. Whereas we look at, the other teams that we say should tear it down. The Bulls aren't looking at Zack LaVine and saying, oh my gosh, he gave us so much over the years and we have to make sure we send him where he wants to go and do right by Zack and all that stuff. For the Bulls, they should be thinking about, let's get the most assets that we can. And if we make Zack happy at the same time, great. But the priority is, let's get the most assets we can. That's not the dynamic here with the Warriors.
Yeah, I agree with everything you said. And it's what you said towards the end there. It would have to be Steph comes to me and says, I want to be traded. Then to that point, all right, let's figure it out. Because one, he's still awesome. Yeah. Right? He's still great. Like, if there's any Warriors thing that still feels like the Warriors, it's Steph. Like, he's still that good. So that's part of, a big part of it. But also, then it's everything else you said. Like, it's, it would have to be he wants it, because think of it too. If you're a brand new GM and your first thing is like, hey, I traded Stephen Curry, like,
right,
you better not only hit home runs, you better hit grand slams with every single pick and everything you got in that trade. Otherwise, it's never going to be good enough, right? Because people are never going to forgive you. Like, I very famously remember Danny Ainge, when he was running the Celtics, talking about, I went to Red Auerbach one year and said, you should probably think about trading Bird and McHale, like in Parrish. Like, you should trade all three of them because they're getting older. Like, the team's not going to get any better than they are right now. You should really think about trading those guys. And then he followed it up with, and then I was traded to Sacramento, like, almost immediately after, which is just kind of funny. But if you're going to trade away true superstars that have, at this point, Steph is approaching 2 decades of, stuff with the franchise, then you better be really certain that you're getting it right, or it better be at their request. Right? Like, I'm ready to go somewhere else. So I wanted to get your take on it because I thought it was a really interesting conversation that I heard about it, and I was like, that is kind of a different spot than you're in with almost any other guy in the NBA at this point, because nobody else really has kind of that same level of feel about them. Like, and people try to bring, like, Celtics fans might say Jason Tatum or Mavs fans might say Luka or Giannis in Milwaukee. Giannis is maybe approaching that standpoint, but
Mm-hmm.
those other guys, I mean, they have to double their career lengths to even get to where Steph is at. Never mind the MVPs and the titles and
Yeah.
all the other things that he's pulled off and accomplished. So I don't know. He would probably be number one, as odd as it sounds, on like the most untradeable list just from everything you put together around the idea of trading him.
Yeah. I mean, what would, like, some, obviously not all fans are going to think alike, but what would the trade have to be for Warriors fans to be okay with it?
Yeah.
It would have to be, it would
Without
have
him
to be
having asked. Yeah.
astronomical,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. It would have to. Yeah. I don't even know that the 4 picks plus swaps in the middle years plus a bunch of, like, I don't even think that would be enough. Like, it would have to be that plus like every good young player that the team had. Like, it'd have to be like we took OKC's entire roster plus
Yeah.
every draft pick they had and all their own draft picks for Steph alone.
Yeah.
Like that's the
Like
kind of
something
what the
ridiculous that no
equivalent
one would do. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It would never happen. So yeah, I just thought it was an interesting question of, where was it at? So outside of the, obviously the Warriors could never turn down the D'Angelo Russell, Torian Prince package that you'd put together.
That's true.
Clearly,
Yes.
that would be tops on the list. But outside
That's
of
an
that,
instant accept, get it done, call it in, don't let the other team off the phone. Yeah, get that thing done. Anytime you can swap out Steph Curry for D'Angelo Russell and Torian Prince, you have to do it. You have
yeah,
to do it.
if you're the Lakers.
If you're the Lakers.
One thing I meant to ask you about with the Lakers.
Yeah.
Notice Christian Wood starting to slide out of the rotation here a little bit.
He got a DNP against Phoenix the other night.
Minutes have steadily been creeping down.
I've been talking a lot about that. I think it's the 3-point shot has just, for the Lakers tax is real apparently, because guys come to LA and just forget how to shoot. He suddenly is not hitting the outside shot. I thought those
Vanderbilt
specifically
is back. Hachimura is back.
Yes.
Guys that play the same position.
That's not to say Jackson Hayes has been great though.
Sure.
I thought his specific skill set in terms of his lateral quickness for a big fit best with the defensive scheme that they're running against the Suns. So I don't think Christian Wood is like banished and he's just out of the rotation now.
Agreed.
There's moments where he is going to still play. But yeah, I mean, the shot hasn't been falling, and a lot of his value comes from the ability to hit that shot. He's still done a good job focusing on rebounding and everything, but not to get into a full Christian Wood thing, but
sure. I just noticed
he's been struggling.
Yeah, I was going to bring it up yesterday. Had we done the show, I did notice that a little, like we hear again, right? Because it's almost like last year, right? To a slightly lesser extent. Last year started up. We were talking about Christian Wood this time last year. Could he win 6th man of the year? Like, he's been awesome for Dallas. Then all of a sudden, he didn't play anymore. Like I did, to your point. If the shot's not going in, it starts to become a little like Jackson Hayes plays with a little more energy. He's a little bit more of a above the rim threat. He can do other stuff that you don't do for us. We have Vanderbilt back. We've got Hachimura, so we don't really need you playing at the 4 at all. So it starts to become a little bit of a thing. So I just noticed that the other night. I noticed he didn't play at all against the Suns, and then I noticed. So then I went back and looked, and I'm like, his minutes have really kind of ticked down here over the last week or so. So just something I've got my eye on.
Yeah. No, definitely something to keep an eye on here, and we'll see if the jumper comes back around. My internet yesterday went the way of Christian Wood's jumper, which has not been falling.
I just realized we didn't even talk about this Warriors topic all that much. Basically what Steve Kerr said was, I'm just going to keep working until I find a mix that fits. And if that means changing the starting 5, changing the rotation around, we're going to keep shuffling things, till we figure it out.
Yeah. And that's what they're going to do. And I still believe ultimately they will figure it out. But I think the days of them being like the dominant Warriors are probably over, but they still could make a run if the stars align.
Yeah, I don't know that from the, let's say the 5th to 8th seed in the playoffs, like which could mean even coming through the play-in. I don't know that I would bet on a finals run out of them from that point. But winning a round or two, sure. I mean, Steph can still win a game or two in any playoff series all by himself. And if you can do that, then you've got a chance, because there's going to be another game where stuff just happens and all of a sudden you're in a game 7 and it's like anything can happen. So that part would be a little scary. Now, having to do that 3 times just to get to the finals, that might maybe is a bridge too far. But we'll see what it looks like with them, because I think, yeah, I don't know. I'm not going to be able to quit them until it's a year too late. And then I'm like, well, all right, I was wrong. Like, it's, I'm already, my biggest mea culpa's on Minnesota. Like, I'm, hand up, I was wrong on that one. So I'll own that. Like, so that's, if I'm wrong on the Warriors too, so be it.
Yeah, I mean, look, the Golden State, though, there's some teams where you'd rather be out a year early than a year
Sure.
late on,
Yeah.
right? There's teams that we've seen. I mean, maybe the Bulls are getting into that territory where we've seen teams hang on. Well, okay, they are where they hang on too long. Where they wait too long
Yeah.
to blow things up, and then next thing you know, they're in big trouble. The Warriors are not that team because of what they have accomplished.
Yeah.
I would be okay, especially if I'm a Warriors fan, with going down with the ship with that team, as long as they're still showing something, rather than blowing that team up a year too early.
And I can still watch Steph every night and look up and
Yeah.
be like, oh, cool. Well, there's all our title banners again.
Right.
And I get to watch tonight's the night where he scored 60 because
Right.
he's having one of those Steph games. Like, I'm far more okay with that than looking up and being like, oh, cool, a bunch of Bulls titles that were won before I was born, and yay, DeMar DeRozan 20-foot jumpers are falling tonight. Like,
Yeah.
That's yeah.
And there goes our draft lottery odds.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. All right. Well, this ended up being a bit of a supersized show, but plenty to talk about today, especially as we're seeing, again, this is going to become more of a persistent. That's right. And because we missed yesterday, but this is also becoming more and more of a thing as we get closer and closer to February 8th. The trade stuff is going to pick up. We're going to continue to hear more on for a while there, people were saying, is it really just the Bulls on the trade market? And that's it. Now it's the Knicks. We were talking the Celtics the other day. Now it's the Pistons with Bogdanovich. It's going to start picking up here. So that's my long-winded way of saying subscribe to the NBA Front Office Show YouTube channel. Turn on those notifications. That way, every time we put out a new episode, which we do try to do Monday through Friday, internet permitting, and make sure you follow us over on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you listen to podcasts as well. Till next time, everybody. See ya and stay safe.